1994 on the East Coast in the state of Virginia, where I was a small business owner, rapidly growing small business, garment company. In 1994, I woke up one morning in my bed and had a very difficult time getting out of bed because I had this incredibly intense, hot shooting pain that started in my right buttock and went all the way down to the tip of my right toe, my right big toe. It was just a screaming, howling pain that made it very difficult for me to get out of bed that morning, and for the next several years of my life became a dominant theme. The pain was so bad that I really could never find a position that was comfortable. I couldn't sit comfortably, couldn't stand comfortably, I couldn't lie down comfortably, I couldn't get a decent night's sleep. Even simple things like brushing my teeth, putting on my shoes, going to the bathroom were exercises in agony. I had a very difficult time doing all of those things, and some of those things you don't really want to call for help. My company was growing. I had a lot of demands on me at the time. It really impacted my ability to manage. I got to the point where I actually had to take my computer off of my desk, put it down on the floor so that I could lie on the floor, which at that time was the most comfortable position, and do my work. So I started on an odyssey of various different types of therapies, trying to find something that would address the pain, that would allow me to move on with my life and run my business and exercise all of my responsibilities. And I tried acupuncture, I tried chiropractic, I tried kinesthesiology and physical therapy and therapeutic massage. I tried a course of oral cortisone. I had cortisone injected directly into my spine. None of these less invasive kind of approaches worked. So in desperation, finally, I went to a surgeon who recommended a operation that's called a discectomy, where your spine is actually cut open, your vertebrae is exposed, and a part of your disc is cut away. So that it doesn't interfere with your sciatic nerve. So, with great reluctance, I underwent these operations, which were ordeals in themselves, and kept me in the hospital for about 5 days for each operation, and a long recovery time afterwards. They were both completely ineffective. At the end of the 2 operations and everything else that I'd gone through, I was still in just as much pain as I'd started out with. And at this point, it was really seriously beginning to affect my life in a lot of different areas. Fortunately, in California in 1996, the medical cannabis law had been passed. This was of importance to me because I found that throughout this entire ordeal there were really only 2 things that gave me any kind of relief from the pain at all. One of them was cannabis, and it worked quite well with minimal side effects. It would reduce my pain almost to half of the level and allow me to at least function somewhat. The problem is that I was on the East Coast. No medical cannabis law had been passed there. I was in the state of Virginia, where growing cannabis is a felony and where possession of more than an ounce of cannabis is a felony. So using cannabis was a very fearful proposition, very dangerous proposition. The other option was OxyContin. OxyContin is a time-released heavy opiate drug. It's highly addictive, and it has a range of side effects from nausea to itchiness to scratchiness to constipation to anxiety to depression, and I found that it really didn't work for me. So cannabis was the only thing that really worked, but I was afraid to use it. I was a businessman. I had 14 full-time employees that I was responsible to. I had investors who had invested into my company. I had various different government regulatory agencies that I had to interact with and deal with. The last thing that I could afford would be to get arrested and possibly imprisoned and be unable to take care of my family, to have my business go down the tubes, to run out on my investors' money. So even though I was using cannabis, it was a very, very fearful time for me, and it became so overpoweringly fearful over a period of time that ultimately I made the decision at age 45 to close down my life on the East Coast, to sell my business, to sell the family home, to pack up my 70-year-old mother and say goodbye to all my lifelong friends and come someplace where I could take care of my health without having to be in fear of getting arrested and imprisoned.